Good morning and welcome. My name is James Cook. Let's vlog. And today, I'm taking this back to Tesla and getting my car. Oh yes. And my car should now be basically ready to go, sorted, all fixed. That is such a gimmick, but I do like it. Yeah, so if you remember, it had a reduced AC problem. Oh man, I didn't see that. You know how I know that's nothing to do with me? Because I haven't driven the car since I brought it back from Tesla. I don't really know how I managed to miss it. Yeah, this thing's been through the wars. Today, I'm hoping to talk about recycling and recyclability. I love that. They just put your foot on the brake and it just closes. I'm such a child. We want to go to service filter. There we go. Yeah, so today I want to talk about repairability. Basically, because firstly I've just got my car repaired and it's 6 years old now and 130,000 miles and very definitely not the latest Tesla out there. And I mean, I suppose I'm hoping that Tesla are going to carry on supporting this car forever. Maybe they will, but repairability and not having to immediately go out and buy a brand new one of everything is, I think, really, really important. This has been brought on by a news article I read stating that France is going to be requiring repairability ratings on the labelling of certain electronic goods, things like fridges and lawnmowers, stuff like that. Which and phones as well. I think it's brilliant. I really do. I think that's a great idea. And the UK government has come under a bit of pressure to look at doing something similar. And I think if that sort of messaging and labeling is put on products, it will start to change people's purchasing habits, if only a little bit, and it will start to affect manufacturers' attitudes towards repairability. Because I think quite often they're like, well, we made it, and is it repairable? No, not really. You can send it to us to be repaired, but for the most part we'll chuck it in the bin and send you a new one. It's not sustainable. That's the problem. It's just definitely not sustainable. Right, I better get going, otherwise I'm going to be late. And we don't want to be late. Trying very hard not to be late. Home sweet home. Ooh, apparently I've got a software update waiting for me. Oh, I wonder what the brakes feel like. It's got new discs and pads now. The first new discs and pads it's had since it was new. It's actually, oh no, it does feel different. It feels better. Good. Yes, excellent. And I want to just quickly say a thank you to anyone who's used my referral code in the past, because I put all of this on referral credit, which is just brilliant. And now I'm going the wrong way, because I really obviously haven't been here often enough. Exciting. So here's the thing, right? I had that little sort of front end bit of damage that needed fixing. It seems like they might have drained the AC and then didn't refill it. That seems to have been what's happened. So yeah, there we go. That's the repairer's fault, obviously, not Tesla's fault at all. It was a body shop that did that repair. Tesla obviously found the problem, and they were unsure at first whether there was a leak in the system or not, so they filled it up with the gas and then waited till this morning to see if it was still full of gas, which it was. Hence why I am now driving my own car home. Wow, this battery is chilly though, like very chilly. Virtually no regen at the moment. But that's okay, we're about to go on the motorway, so we'll quickly build up some warmth in the system. Yes, yes, this car. I love this car. I don't know why it always brings a smile to my face. You know, it's not that the Model X was nice. I mean, it was a bit beaten up. Apparently it had come from the Heathrow sort of service centre, and I guess people around Heathrow don't look after their Model X's as well as they do up here, I guess. I don't know. Either way, it was a bit... This is just an awesome car. That's basically what's going on here. Love this car. If I can, I'm just going to keep this car on the road forever. I mean, obviously I won't be able to because it's not realistic, but I should be able to keep it on the road for a good long time. And that is just good enough for me. I want to get 10 years out of it at least. I'd love to get 200,000 miles at least. If I do 10 years, I'll do 200,000 miles, so yeah. And by that point, it will have exceeded my most optimistic projections for how the car will have aged. To be honest, I've never done as many miles in a car as I've done in this, not by any stretch. It's substantial, the distance this vehicle has covered. Right, so, right to repair. Obviously, cars do usually come with a sort of implicit understanding that you are going to be able to buy spare parts for a long time into the future. Because obviously cars are just something where if it was irreparable, if you know, cars from a few years old couldn't be repaired, then nobody would buy cars of that make, and car makers know this. So it's sort of understood that cars should be repairable for at least a decade or something, surely. When it comes to things like mobile phones, however, it is a completely different story. In fact, actually, a lot of consumer electronics is a completely different story. There's virtually no effort made to recycle or repair things like, I mean, okay, people do get screens changed on phones, sure, but take for example my phone. I've got the Note 10 Plus. It's a great phone, I absolutely love it. It's got this curved screen, which quite honestly it could just not have, and that curved screen makes it vastly more expensive and difficult to repair and replace if you get it cracked. In fact, if they designed the phone so that the common things that got broken could be easily sorted out, then it would be an immensely more durable device long term. And you can design things so that bits can be upgraded over time. It's just that nobody puts any effort into doing that, because that's not the market that the mobile phone manufacturers have built for themselves. They've built a market which is predicated on the concept that everyone is going to be buying a brand new mobile phone every 2 years at least. Now, originally it was every year. It's just bonkers. No wonder the world's running out of natural resources and we're slowly getting surrounded by giant piles of pollution. You know, it's just, oh, I do despair. So I think it's a great idea that France has got, and I really do hope that the UK and hopefully the rest of the EU and the US and the whole world takes on board the idea of labelling repairability. I think you should have 2 ratings. I think you should have 1 for repairability and 1 for recyclability. I really do hope that that comes to pass, because I do think that it will start to change people's attitudes. I mean, if you had the choice of 2 vacuum cleaners, one of them, yeah, at the same price, and one of them could be repaired probably, and the other one definitely could not be repaired, I would always buy the one that was repairable, and I'm sure most sane people would as well. Even, to be honest, I'd even pay a premium, actually, to have it be repairable, easily repairable. And actually, I think it's better for society as well. I think having small repair shops out there that can get this sort of work done is actually not a bad thing for society. I mean, you know, you used to have the sort of computer repair shops, because desktops, of course, did, you know, have that very modular design, still do, where you can replace most of the bits. Obviously it does get expensive if you have to replace the motherboard, but you don't have to throw the whole case away and the monitor in order to replace the motherboard. And that's the core difference between something like a desktop, which because of its historical design is very much focused on a concept of modularity, and a mobile phone, which is very much, you know, based around the idea that it's a completely throwaway item. Once broken, in the bin it goes. Or, I mean, to be fair, a lot of mobile phones do get recycled, quote unquote, but it's not really recycled. They're just given a second life in a country where mobile phones are more expensive and difficult to get hold of, which is great. It's good that it gets a second life, but I don't pretend for a second that it gets properly recycled once it gets damaged beyond use in these countries. I hope they get recycled, but I bet it doesn't. It seems obvious to me that we've got to recycle and repair and reuse far more stuff, because otherwise it only goes in one direction, and eventually we're just surrounded by old phones and nothing else. It's like the idea that we can just keep on extracting oil forever. It's obviously impossible, because we use more oil in a day than gets created. Plus, there's a good couple of million year cooling off period before you can access said oil. So, yeah, still, there we go. I wonder if they monkeyed around with my seat position, I wonder. Yeah, this car definitely does feel a lot more planted than that Model X did. And that Model X definitely did feel more loosey-goosey than the previous one I had, despite the fact they were both 75Ds. So I don't really know what the difference was between those two. It might have been that tyre, because it did lose another sort of 3 psi over the last 48 hours, which is, that's a fair amount of gas to lose out of your tyres. And another thing which is actually very impressive is I've now been driving for 10 whole minutes and no warning lights have come up on my dashboard. Now that might sound strange that I would be impressed by that, but I normally find whenever I leave a service centre or a body shop, I get a couple of miles down the road and then something comes on. It's usually the tyre pressure warning light, which is normally because they haven't calibrated the tyre pressure sensors appropriately, got them linked up to the car. It is difficult, because it's difficult to do that linking process in a garage where you have a bunch of other tyre pressure sensors which could pick up the signal. Right, for any of you wondering, the cost of all this work was about £2,500. So, not cheap. However, you've got to put that in context. I probably saved that a year in fuel, and I got all the discs and pads changed, and it's the first time they've been changed since I bought the car, so it's not like that's much of an ongoing cost. There was a seized up parking brake caliper which they dealt with as well, which was good. So yeah, all in all, way successful. I think I'm going to say goodbye now for today's video. I think we've reached the natural conclusion. So I hope you've enjoyed today's video. If you have, remember to leave a like and share it, and subscribe if you haven't already. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter if you don't already. I want to say a massive thank you to my Patreon supporters as well at the moment, and I will see you in the next episode of my vlog. Bye. I like it. Yeah, so I want to talk about so today I want to go away. Navigate. Home? No, this car's home is apparently in London, so not home. Hopefully my car will stay on the road for another 10 years. That would be pretty cool. And I will share that experience with you guys on this channel.